This presentation will review the Education Service Center, or ESC, Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, Basic Services, Compliance Report, WorkApp Data Submission Instructions. The instructions referenced in this presentation apply to all the programs in the ESC ESSA Basic Services Initiative that include Title I Part A, Title I Part C, Title II Part A, and Title IV Part A. The ESC ESSA Basic Services Initiative requires that ESCs report information on program requirements for 2 reporting periods in a grant year. For the fall reporting period, which spans from activities and services provided between September 1st and February 28th, ESCs are required to submit their compliance report data per program via the Federal Program Compliance Division's, or FPC, ESC Compliance Reports WorkApp by April 1st. For the spring reporting period, which spans from activities and services provided between March 1st and August 31st, ESCs are required to submit their compliance report data per program via the FPC ESC Compliance Report WorkApp by September 30th. In addition to submitting the school system participation numbers, ESCs are also required to attach the completed ESC ESSA Compliance Report spreadsheet in the WorkApp that includes the school system's activities and numbers reported for both the fall and the spring. The spreadsheet is only required to be attached on the spring report submission. All data requested will be submitted via the FPC Smartsheet WorkApp. ESC staff submitting documentation will need access to the Department of Grant Compliance and Administration WorkApp system. To add or change the individuals with access to the system, please email us at essasupport@tea.texas.gov for instructions. Please note that each ESC is only guaranteed a certain number of access accounts at this time. Once access to the FPC WorkApp has been granted, ESCs may log into the Department of Grant Compliance and Administration WorkApp system. Locate and click on the Federal Program Compliance Division ESC Compliance Report WorkApp tile once you have logged into the WorkApp system. If the FPC ESC Compliance Reports tile is not visible on your screen when you log into the WorkApp system, locate the blue menu bar on the left-hand side of the screen and click on the WorkApp icon to display all the apps accessible to you, which would include the FPC WorkApp tile. Please note that users will only have access to apps that have been shared with you. Under ESC View, you will now need to locate the ESC Compliance Report links available for the current year in the menu bar that will be located towards the bottom of the screen. There will be a link for each of the reports. A Title IV Part A ESC Compliance Report. A Title II Part A ESC Compliance Report. A Title I Part A ESC Compliance Report. And a Title I Part C Migrant Education Program, or MEP ESC Compliance Report link. Click on the specific program to access the data submission form. Please note that the screen captures referenced in the next slides will show information that is specific to the Title I Part A report. However, the functionality of all of the report links in the WorkApp for each program is the same. Once you click on the applicable report, you will see two lines that allow you to access the data submission forms for the fall and the spring reports. The information visible includes your region number, the contacts at your ESC that have access to the WorkApp system, the program name, the reporting periods for the grant year, the report due date, and the submission status for your ESC. Please note that the first line will provide you with access to the fall report, and the second line will provide you with access to the spring report. To access the Details Data Form Data tab where you will enter your data, please select and click on the ribbon line for the fall report. After clicking on the Fall Reporting Period ribbon line, the Details Form Data tab will appear so that you can begin entering data. You will notice that some information in the Details Form Data tab has been pre-populated, is grayed out, and in read-only fields for each program. It includes your region number, the program name, the reporting period, and the report due date. The next section of information is for the ESCs to complete the fields with the information for the ESC program contact. The ESC program contact should be the person that is most familiar with the documentation submitted. This is the person that TEA will contact if additional documentation is needed and or if clarification is needed on any of the documentation submitted. The name, email address, and telephone number of the ESC contact person is required in the fields. If you continue to scroll down the form, you will find the number of school systems that are in your region. This number is generated based on the number of school systems that are on the TEA provided compliance report spreadsheet that you received in September. This field is a read-only field for ESCs. If you are viewing the details form for the Title IV Part A program, additional information will appear noting the number of school systems that have redirected 100% of their program funds via REAP and/or funding transferability, and the number of school systems that did not redirect 100% of their program funds via REAP and/or funding transferability. In the next section of the details form, you will enter the total number of LEAs for each of the activities. The screen capture shown here is from the Title I Part A report. The numbers reported in the WorkApp should match the numbers listed on the compliance report for each of the required activities noted on the compliance report spreadsheet. ESCs will use the ESC ESSA Basic Services Compliance Report spreadsheet completed as per the specific instructions referenced in the latest version of the ESC ESSA Compliance Report instructions by specific program. To enter the remaining information, for each program requirement field for the reporting period in the Details Form Data tab. In the following slides, we will make reference to the region LEA numbers to be reported for both in-region LEAs and out-of-region LEAs. Please note all data submitted are subject to audit, and the spreadsheet and documentation for trainings may be requested by TEA at any time. Make sure to maintain this documentation locally. In the next section of the Details form, ESCs will report the number for in-region LEAs. The fields that follow are required. Enter the total number of in-region LEAs per requirement for the fall reporting period on the Details data form for each program that applies to your ESC. Data entry is required for all fields with a red asterisk, and 0 is an acceptable response. In the graphic on this slide, there's only one activity. However, all the reports have additional activities that require data to be reported. For instructional purposes, only one activity has been included in this slide. Under the number reported is a read-only percentage that will auto-calculate what the information is named in the WorkApp. In the next section of the Details form, ESCs will report the numbers for the out-of-region LEAs per requirement per program. The fields that follow are required. In the graphic on this slide, there's only one activity. However, all the reports have additional activities that require data to be submitted. For instructional purposes, only one activity is included in this slide. For the out-of-region LEAs, there will not be a percentage that is auto-calculated as there was for the in-region LEAs, since the number varies for ESCs providing activities and services to LEAs that are considered to be out of region. If you are submitting the LEA numbers for the Title I Part C report, there will also be a section where you will report numbers for the non-project LEAs served and the number of CIG meetings. Please note that the section to report the number of Coordinators Implementation Group or CIG meetings only applies to and is required for regions 7, 16, and 20. After the numbers have been reported for in-region and out-of-region LEAs, there is a section for ESC comments. ESCs will have the option to enter additional comments addressing the program requirements referenced in the ESC ESSA Basic Services Compliance Report spreadsheet if they so choose. Type any comments that you would like to share with TEA related to the data submitted in the ESC Comments field. The next section of the details form that is required to be completed is the submission status. For the submission status, ESCs must click on the drop-down menu. All programs will be defaulted to Not Started. After entering data into the fields for the reporting period, ESCs must select one of the following options: In Process or Saved and Submitted. If the ESC begins to enter data and needs to provide additional edits before the due date, a submission status of In Process can be selected. However, it is important for the ESC to select Saved and Submitted for the report to be considered submitted. If an ESC has a submission status of In Process or Not Started after the report due date, the report will be considered incomplete and TEA will have to contact your ESC with next steps. The final step for submitting your data to TEA is saving the data. If you need to change or delete information within the fields, you may do so by clicking Discard Changes and clearing all the fields for which data has been typed, and you can begin re-entering information. When you are finished entering the necessary information for the reporting period, click on the Save button located at the bottom right-hand corner of the Details Form Data Entry tab once all the necessary information has been completed in the fields. Note, if the Save button is grayed out or inaccessible, a required field with a red asterisk is missing information. A blue Save button indicates that all required fields have information and that the data are ready to be saved. Remember to click the blue Save button and click the X button at the top right-hand corner of your screen when finished to close the Details Data Entry tab. To confirm that the information has been saved and submitted, the ESC can review the submission status in the Compliance Report line for the fall report by locating the Submission Status column. If submitted data was saved successfully, the Submission Status column will read Saved and Submitted. ESCs will follow the same process referenced in this presentation to submit their ESC ESCA Compliance Report information for the spring reporting period. However, ESCs will need to attach a copy of the completed ESC ESCA Basic Services Compliance Report spreadsheet for both the fall and the spring reporting periods to the spring submission in the WorkApp. Make sure that you select the ribbon line for the spring submission. After the information is completed in the Details Form Data Entry tab, click on the Attachments tab and attach the completed ESC ESCA Basic Services Compliance Report spreadsheet. Do not convert to PDF. Attach the file in Excel format. Please note that attaching the completed Compliance Report spreadsheet to the spring submission is very important. Reporting is not considered complete if the spreadsheet is not attached in the WorkApp. You can verify data were saved by reviewing the data on the Spring Title I Part A Compliance Report line and locating the Submission Status column. If submitted data was saved successfully, the Submission Status column will read Saved and Submitted. The final step in completing the process for the submissions of the ESC ESCA Consolidated Compliance Reports is signing out of the WorkApp system. Once finished, sign out of the WorkApp system by clicking on the icon located at the bottom left-hand corner of the window, and then selecting and clicking on the Sign Out button. This concludes the presentation of the ESC ESSA Basic Services Compliance Report WorkApp Data Submission Instructions. We hope that the instructions for submitting the ESC ESSA Basic Services Compliance Reports in the WorkApp system were helpful. If you require additional assistance or have questions regarding the FPC WorkApp system, please reach out via email using the contact information provided on this screen.